This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
It's time to talk Monday Night Raw. Welcome to the WWE Podcast. It's Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. Unbelievably, June is almost over. Summer starts tomorrow. We're going to blink, guys, and football's going to be here. The cold weather's going to be here. Raking leaves is going to be here. And then before you know it, at least those of us in the northern half of the United States, it's going to be winter again. So enjoy the summer, guys. It starts tomorrow. And for those, again, that live, I'd say north of like Virginia, the Mason-Dixon line, that's the time in which we need to enjoy the warm weather, right? Because it's going to come and go faster than we even know. So, speaking of things that come and go quickly, Monday Night Raws are flying by. SmackDowns are flying by as we get closer and closer to the Money in the Bank event that takes place in about a week and a half now from London. And that's going to be a big event, of course. No title defense by Roman. But, by the way, I want to clarify something. People keep bringing up to me that, Roman Reigns defended his championship at a house show. Okay. House shows are fantasy land, okay? House shows 99.999999% of the time mean nothing. Occasionally, something will happen at a house show where there's a title change. IC or US, nothing above that, usually. And it happens once every 5 to 7 years, just to garner interest in, oh my God, things actually do change at the house shows. But by and large, the vast majority of house shows are inconsequential. They mean nothing other than for the audience that's there in attendance. For those of you that are at home watching on television, well, you can't because it's not televised. It's not meant to be a televised show. It's not part of the storyline. It is part of its own entity. It is an island unto itself. So those of you that are telling me, well, Roman defended his title against whoever at a house show, I mean, that's great, but it doesn't exist if it's not on TV. End of story. So I don't count those because they are not talked about in the story. They're not brought up. They're not promoted. They are just for the local crowd only, which means it's not real. Okay, it's just not for the 99% of us, okay, that are at home. Anyway, before we get into the Monday Night Raw review, I want to welcome a brand new patron to the show, Victor R. Victor has joined us on the Patreon side of things. So welcome, Victor. I hope you enjoy your ad-free experience. Enjoy the Discord server. Enjoy all the ad-free shows because you are on the SmackDown tier, my friend. I hope you enjoy. All right, join Victor and everyone else at patreon.com/WWE Podcast, or go to Apple. There's a subscribe button there. We're ad-free if you want, or WWEPodcastShop.com, WWEPodcast.com. All righty, let's do it. Let's jump into Raw, which honestly I thought was a very good show. I thought it had a decent amount of star power, really good main event. It was just a well-designed show, I think, from start to finish. Now, did it mean everything was perfect? No, of course not. No show ever will be. And we'll get to those blunders in a moment, but I want to start talking about the Judgment Day here quickly. God dang, is Dom over or what as a heel? I mean, that dude needs to be a champion. He's crying to be a champion. WWE knows that the moment Dom becomes champion, whatever kind of championship it may be, that things are going to turn nuclear. You think you've heard heat on Roman before? People won't even let Dominic talk. Name another person that's happened to consistently every single week. And here's the thing. I don't even think it's necessarily the trendy thing to do, honestly, because here's the deal. I think at times people will cheer for star power, even if they're heels, just because, oh my God, that star's here. That happens. When you're live in person, even though they're billed as a heel, you cheer because you're just so excited to see them, and what role they're playing becomes unimportant. And to boo somebody as loudly as they boo Dominic, it takes a special kind of hatred, because I think it takes more concerted, intentional energy to boo someone than to cheer them. Because to boo them means not only do you not like them, you're not supporting their run, but you don't respect their star power enough to have it overshadow the role they're in, which is actually a great thing if you're a heel, a true heel. I think we've forgotten how heels should be and act and have the crowd being respondent to. And Dominic is getting the most heat I've ever heard any heel get in the last 20 years. I mean, it's amazing. It's awesome. And good for him. But I hope they decide to do something with him sooner than later. And what I mean by that is, in the next 6 to 8 months, throw a belt on him. That's what I would say. But we'll dive more into the Judgment Day in a little bit. But let's talk about Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, and the beatdown. I loved it. Finn Balor attacked from behind. There was no Judgment Day. It was Finn on his own. He mercilessly and relentlessly attacked Seth Rollins, coup de grace after coup de grace, and trying to injure Seth. And just when you think he was done, he'd come back for more. It was so much fun to watch this version of Finn Balor, this aggressive version of Finn that I think we've missed. And that doesn't mean, by the way, that I need or want to see him as the demon Finn Balor. No, that's more of a wrestling gimmicky thing, I think, than we need to present at this point. I want the man Finn Balor, and that's what we're getting. And I like how we did get a bit of a promo from Finn. We did it. We got it after the entrance of the Judgment Day, by the way, too, which was nice. They strategically placed it so they didn't set them up in the same situation as last week. But having this beatdown was good. It finally did give some heat to Balor, some spotlight to Balor. It was brutal and fun to watch. So that was that was fun. And made me want to see Rollins get his revenge. And honestly, the line of the night for me, at least from a Rollins and Finn Balor perspective, was when Rollins said to Finn, "Now that's the Finn Balor that I've been waiting for 7 years." And yeah, that was a cool line. Like, that's the man I wanted to face. This is the man we've missed. That's who I know you can be. And that was just very telling of Seth trying to bring out the best in Finn, bring out a version that we know is in there, and then when he gets it, tells him, "Hey, well, now that you're back, I can't wait until Money in the Bank," right? Like, it was just well structured, well done, and it's just a good old fashioned heel beatdown, which I think we needed. All right. We got Tommaso Ciampa, which I guess we're sticking with the first name. I would imagine, right? Tommaso is still his first name. I know that we go through occasionally the first name homicide or genocide, I should say. First name genocide happens in WWE from time to time. This one seems to have been resurrected from the grave, just as Riddle got his first name back, and Ciampa seems to have gotten his first name back, even though announcers were still calling him Ciampa and the graphics were showing Tommaso. I'm going to go with he has a first and last name. I think wrestlers should have a first and last name. It makes sense. Now, there are exceptions, okay? Kane, Undertaker, right? Like, there are some Mankind, okay? But he was McFoley. There are some exceptions, of course. It's not a hard and fast rule, but generally, if you have a normal, just a normal human being name, you should have a first and last name. So it's just my take. But Ciampa returned to a decent reaction, faced The Miz, and got a victory with a fairy tale ending. About 4 minutes long, and it was good to see Ciampa back. They said it was about 9 months, and it was unadvertised, which I like from time to time. They didn't put it on social media as far as I know. They didn't advertise it on last week's Raw or last week's SmackDown. This was an unadvertised return. So I enjoyed that. All right. Let's see, got some backstage interviews, and we talked about, we got a backstage segment notably about Zayn talking to Owens about his anger problem, Owens being in denial, and Zayn said that if Owens could make it through the night without a tantrum, he would bring it up, that he wouldn't bring it up again, but if he had an outburst, then Owens would have to concede that he has a problem. Owens agreed and walked away, and of course throughout the night Owens is being tested with situations of Riddle coming up to him and Imperium coming up to him and somebody spilling water on him, like that kind of stuff, which it's entertaining in one respect, but also is Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens' daddy? You better not have an outburst, son. And basically, if here's a piece of candy, and if you can just make it through one night without having a tantrum, we won't talk about it again. But then after that, feel free to do what you want. None of this made any sense. I don't even know where they're going with this. Is it leading to an eventual Kevin Owens heel turn? I hope not. Again, where it's Kevin realizing after therapy that the reason for his outburst is actually underlying anger for Sami. I don't know. I hope not. But I have a sneaking suspicion that could be it. Or maybe they literally have no idea and it's just supposedly be comedic here. And don't get me wrong. I love Kevin Owens. I just don't think that this consistent transformation into an outburst personality and being always a hairpin trigger is fun to watch. It's kind of stressful to watch Kevin. I know that they think it comes off funny. It doesn't. Because I want to see the intelligent, calm, cool, collected Kevin Owens every now and then. And now we're just getting what's going to set him off today. And they think that's, they meaning the creative team, feel it's comedic. I'm not sure. I'm not a fan of it. It's not the worst thing in the world. I think it doesn't have a purpose. I don't think. Unless the purpose is, again, to turn Kevin heel, which I would advise against. So the other thing we got, and we'll get to the Chelsea Green, Sonya Deville, and Caden Carter match in just a second, but we got a Chelsea Green TikTok video, like WWE's account with Chelsea Green going around and literally just mimicking every instance in which a quote unquote Karen, a Karen incident happened. Like somebody had road rage or was having an outburst at a coffee shop, or I don't know. I have mixed feelings on this. I really do. Okay. Because on one hand, I find the character entertaining. I mean, I know what they're trying to do. They're just taking Chelsea Green, who is good at being obnoxious. She feels authentic. Good stuff, right? But she's taken the quote-unquote Karen thing a little too far by literally just mimicking everything that you see on the internet and playing it out on the TikTok channel. Again, just like the Kevin Owens outbursts. Not the worst thing in the world. But, guys, I don't know what to tell you, but Karen is a racial slur. It is. All right? And I'm not personally offended by it. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. Like, oh, this is racist. Look, I mean, is it a racial slur? Yes. Most people don't look at it that way. Okay, they don't. But it is, by definition. No one, again, it'll be glossed over and it doesn't matter. And again, I'm not advocating for it to be a big issue. I'm just pointing out that it is a racial slur. I mean, but again, I'm not advocating for a big uproar about it. I don't really care that much. I'm just bringing it to people's attention. However, the whole Chelsea Green thing, she has some traction. She's trying to sink her teeth into the Karen character. And she has something there. She does. And I mean, I'm enjoying her, but the Karen thing can only go so far. For now, it's okay. And I'd rather have her, in ring competing, backstage being a total obnoxious witch. Okay, that's what I want her to do. But if they're going to try to get her over on TikTok or doing things on social media of just where you typically see these quote unquote Karens and their outbursts, maybe it'll catch on. It might. All right, but back to Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville versus Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. Very quick match. And Kaden Carter and Katana Chance won in about 2 minutes. And they hit their after party move on Deville. And then Chance pinned her to win. So I think this was a little too short. Not only because I don't want to see Chelsea and Sonya lose that fast, but also I want to see Kaden and Katana in longer matches. I don't think this did anyone any real service because it was so quick. And I want both teams to have a little bit more respect being shown moving forward by the company, because there's value in both teams. You have one team that is a solid heel team, especially Chelsea up and coming. You have a babyface team in Kaden Carter and Katana Chance that have just really only shown barely what they can do, the tip of the iceberg. And you're giving, yes, they got the victory, but still you want the crowd to remember something from their match, a moment or two, and you go so quick outside of like, oh, that's right, they had a match, I think they won. That's not what you want to remember. You want to remember how they made you feel, and you didn't have a chance to do that. So a little bit too quick for me. All right. Let's see. So Kathy Kelly was backstage with Cody, who was dressed in a suit and cast, and Cody spoke with Kelly by the stage and accepted the Judgment Day's challenge to a 6-man tag match for later in the show, which is what Dominic did. And he tried to scream over the crowd at the beginning of the show. He tried. You would think at this point Dominic has been booed so hard long enough now where he'd know how to kind of navigate the waters of a crowd that doesn't even want him to put the microphone to his lips. But he did the best he could, trying to scream through it, and we had Corey Graves try to pick up the pieces and say, I think Dominic was challenging him to a 6-man tag, and it's like, no, that's not even close to what he said. But Corey was just trying to help him out and trying to navigate the waters for him, for a crowd that just wanted no part of hearing Dom. And I applaud Corey Graves for doing that. That's what he should do. So it's not going above and beyond the Call of Duty by any means, but it's still something that is expected. And Corey Graves, credit to him. He kind of cleared up things, because if you listen to just only the language from Dom, he was yelling and trying to focus on more of overcoming the crowd than he was on the context of what he was trying to get to, and that's a 6-man tag. Again, not a complaint at all. This is a good problem to have. This is a really good problem to have. It's a problem that I can't remember having in my lifetime with a heel. I mean, not especially for this extended period. We've seen a time or two where, especially with Roman Reigns as a babyface, and he'd get, big victory after big victory, and the crowd didn't want to hear from him at all, and they'd boo him. That happened. But by and large, I can't remember in my lifetime of watching wrestling another instance of this sustained amount of heat for a wrestler. And this is an awesome problem to have. So Dom is doing the best he can to navigate the immense nuclear amount of heat. And honestly, it's difficult because there aren't a whole lot of people that could give advice to Dom, because not many people have gone through this in the first instance, right? How many guys that are giving Dom advice on how to navigate this have actually gone through it themselves? The answer is probably zero, because it has, I don't think, ever happened again, at least for me in the last 25 years, for a sustained amount of time. Nobody's got real real world experience. So they're kind of just like, well, try this. And so Dom is in uncharted waters, even for veterans, and veterans that played heels could only dream of this heat, right? This is something special with Dom. Something special. And the more he grows his hair out with that ugly mullet, it's just going to get better. All right. So the End of Sheer showed up, and they challenged Cedric and Shelton. 2-minute match. The final seconds of the Alexander and Benjamin entrance was televised, and then The full Indus entrance was shown, and Alexander and Benjamin went right after Veer and Sangha. And Sangha came back at ringside, tossed Alexander onto the barricade in front of the timekeeper area. And Mahan regrouped and got the better of Benjamin. Sangha tagged in. They hit their finisher, and then Sangha got the victory. So, did you expect anything different? The answer is no. It's just kind of for the end of Sheer anyway, a hold steady week. It's a, hey, don't forget we're still here. We're not going to move them forward too much. It's just kind of, hey, don't forget I'm here kind of week for the end of Sheer. That's fine. Every week you're not going to be, beating top tag teams. Right now they need to live in the Cedric and Shelton world. It's seemingly obvious that they're going to move on soon. So I'm okay with them getting TV time. I'm more than okay with it. It's necessary. So even if it's a 2-minute match, I enjoyed it. I think it was a good week. Not great, but good and acceptable week for the Indus Sheer, who I think have WWE has big plans for down the line and potentially being the ones to take the belts off of Kevin and Sami. All right. So Kevin Owens nearly lost it with Matt Riddle backstage after this. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't find that funny. It's not my thing. But anyway, Paul Logan. See, that's the problem. When you have a name that has 2 first names, it's difficult sometimes to go, is it Paul Logan or Logan Paul? Anyway, he came out to Samantha Irvin, who introduced him, and he sat on a ladder and said it's great to be back in Ohio, and saying that some of the best people in the world come from Cleveland. He listed LeBron James, Jerry Lawler, and himself, and he said he looks back on the moments that made him great. He determined that they started when he left. When the fans booed, Paul told them not to and said he's the best that they have. So Paul said he would single-handedly put respect back on the city's name because I can. Because I can. I call the executors. I think that's what he said. Paul announced that he will be competing in the Money in the Bank ladder match and that he would win the contract, cash in, and take the title from whoever he wants, whenever he wants. Ricochet came out. Then, of course, we get the obligatory parade of contenders one by one because they're all lined up single file backstage. Seemingly, I really just... why this needs to be the only way that they can present at times a multi-person 4 to 6 person match, especially actually not just that, the way that they present these, especially Money in the Bank ladder matches over the last several years. Anytime you have an upcoming fatal 4-way, fatal 5-way, or the 6-man ladder match, you tend to get the single file type of segments. And I like how actually Corey Graves called this out. And I'm trying to get the quote because I typed it in as I was watching the show. And he, I didn't type it in. But anyway, I'm looking at my notes, and apparently I just typed it in my head and not on paper. But it was something to the effect of the parade of Money in the Bank contenders. And it's kind of like, actually, that's exactly what it is, standing single file backstage. It's just, I don't know. The only other thing, too, one good thing is, number one, maybe you heard it, maybe you didn't. The reaction for LA Knight, my God. This dude is so over. And I really am it's still to me up in the air whether WWE is intentionally not doing anything, knowing that it's working by them not doing anything. And if they do something, that means that the crowd is going to know they're doing something, and then the crowd's going to turn on it. So WWE is just going, you know what? He's getting over when he shouldn't be. The crowd is being super supportive. There's a groundswell growing. People love to go against the system. They know that once we are transparently getting behind somebody, they will decide not to, and it's not cool once the system is behind them. So we're just not going to do anything. And perhaps it is the strategy. We don't know. We don't know, because it really could be either, where they either, A, that's what it is. They want to push LA Knight. They see the stardom. They see the groundswell. They see the organic connection that he has no business having based on how much promo time he's gotten, how many wins and losses he's had, all of that. He has no business being this over. And they know they have something and are just going, you know what, guys? No. You know what? I know it's tempting, but just don't do anything because it's working. By not doing anything, it's actually working. Or they could be doing option 2, where they are actively trying to not get him cheered. They don't agree with the crowd. They have no plans for LA Knight, and they are just saying, well, you guys can have your fun, but ultimately, we aren't really doing anything with him because we don't see what you see. And he's an older guy. He's not young, right? So he's not the future for a long period of time, and I just don't know which one it is. Maybe in time we'll find out. I think that it's whatever it is working. It's a bit of reverse psychology here, but boy, that reaction and that promo he gave was that not a little bit of The Rock? He's talking about like how he's when he's talking to Logan Paul about posting pictures for 14-year-old girls, and here's a map of where you can stick it. And I mean, I thought he was going to tell at that point, like Logan Paul, to take that map and shine it up real nice, turn it sideways, right? It felt very Rock-ish. I didn't hate it. It's not a complaint. It's just kind of a moment. That's how I felt. But LA Knight, my God, he commands the screen. He commands it, and the crowd was so behind him. It wasn't even funny. Everywhere this dude goes, he is the absolute front runner. I understand Logan Paul's in the match. Does he deserve it? No. Was it explained how he got it? No. Does Logan Paul come in every time and just get a big high-profile match because he's a social media star? Yeah. Is it ridiculous? Yes. All of the above are true. But here's what else is true. Every time Logan Paul has been in the ring, he delivers. And he's delivered at the highest level against Roman Reigns. And this match that he's going to be involved in now at the Money in the Bank ladder match, that's a match made for a guy like Logan Paul. The match is going to be better whether you like it or not. The match is going to be better from a wrestling perspective with Logan Paul in it. You may not like Logan Paul. You may not like how he got in to the match. I would agree with both of those things, but what's undeniable and what's most important at the end of the day is that the match is better with the person you're adding to it, and I believe that it is. I really don't like Logan Paul. I don't think he deserves to be in this match at all. He comes in every few months, plays in the sandbox, and leaves. Now, does he put in a ton of work behind the scenes? Of course. And he has busted his ass clearly to be here. But he comes in every few months, plays his little trucks in the sand and leaves. Goes back to Impulsive or his YouTube channel, whatever he's doing. And of course, his workout schedule, I'm sure, is crazy too. But the point is, he does make the match better instantly. The spots that are going to happen with Logan Paul in that match, and I'm sure Ricochet, are going to be a lot of fun. And here's the thing I want people to take a breath on. If you're worried Logan Paul's going to win that match, it ain't going to happen. Okay, I think at the end of the match, it's going to be LA Knight and Logan Paul fighting it out. Eventually, Logan Paul gets tossed off the ladder, knocked off the ladder or whatever, and LA Knight grabs it. That's my early call. Of course, final predictions coming next week. But Logan Paul's going to get heavily booed. I think LA Knight is going to be even though he's not billed to be as such, going to be the massive babyface in that match. The crowd is going to be all over LA Knight in support of him and against Logan Paul. Because here's the thing. Logan Paul winning makes no sense. Why? What's he going to do? Challenge Seth Rollins again? We've been there, done that. Is he going to try to cash in on Roman Reigns? Been there, done that. And again, it's not that he can't have good matches with these men. He can have. He's proven it. But I think we'll grow some resentment from fans. And I also don't think that having Mr. Money in the Bank go and hide on Impulsive for 3 months at a time is a good look. You want the person who's carrying the briefcase to be around semi-regularly. Now, Am I a fan of the Money in the Bank briefcase winner always carrying around the briefcase to remind you he's Mr. Money in the Bank or Mrs. Money in the Bank? No, I'm not. They shouldn't be required to carry that around. I know they're carrying around as some kind of like trophy. However, I don't know why they need to carry it around if they're not going to use it. Because then you're kind of always reminding people that, hey, put this at the forefront of your mind. Instead of making it, if you want to add a little bit of element surprise, go a few months. Have that person stop carrying the briefcase, get into a program, sideline them, and then out of nowhere, their music hits at the end of a title match, champions down, vulnerable, and that's when they're carrying the briefcase, sprinting down to the ring, and you're like, oh my God, that's right, they're carrying the briefcase. I would put it out of the minds of fans quickly. Unless the plan is, of course, to cash in, that night or whatever. But they're not going to do that. That's just how I would design it, and how I would implement the Money in the Bank briefcase is to not have them always put it in your face and remind you. Sometimes forgetting that somebody has something is a good thing, especially when you want an element of surprise. Now, again, those of you that are worried that Logan Paul is going to win, I have my doubts big time. To me, it's Damian or it's LA Knight. And LA Knight, I just don't see how LA Knight doesn't win this. I can see the crowd getting super pissed off if LA Knight doesn't win this. Now, would it actually, here's the reverse psychology thing. Does WWE have LA Knight not win to continue this quote unquote organic support for LA Knight, which WWE would say, well, we're actually the ones who are creating this organic groundswell of support because we know that you guys support people that we don't necessarily push at the time. And so we're actually facilitating this organic growth. They would somehow try to take credit for the fact that by not doing anything, they're helping push the person. And then at the same time, also try to take credit for the person they're pushing their success. It's kind of an unfalsifiable claim. We can never, of course, know if that's the case, but I'm sure they try to take credit no matter what scenario plays out. Anyway, I'm getting deep into the weeds. My point is, Logan Paul cannot win for so many reasons. Yes, he's a heel. Yes, this briefcase is usually made for a heel to win. But Logan Paul has no business winning. None. He's there to make the match better. He's there to add eyeballs to the product because he has a massive following. And that's great. You need both of those as a business. And I have no problem with either as long as he doesn't win, put him in the match. I think he does make it better. Okay. We did get a bit of a segment with Braun Breaker, which was really nice to see him on Raw, I think. I could be wrong, and I probably am. Somebody will correct me. That might be the first or second time that Braun Breaker's been on Raw. I want to say first, but I'm sure it's not. And it was great to hear him and see him and expose him to the main audience. Expose him. Well, he's an NXT star. Does he belong on Raw or SmackDown? No. Just like those competitors that are on SmackDown are suddenly granted a key to Raw because they're in the Money in the Bank ladder match, and I'm sure on SmackDown they'll get the same treatment where Raw stars are able to come over because, well, they're part of the match. It's like, yeah, but they're not part of the brand, so too bad, so sad. Here again, just complete disregard for the draft and the rules because, well, it's part of the match. Again, part of the match doesn't mean part of the brand. Anyway, so it was nice to hear from Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins saying, I'll be there. He's actually competing as I speak right now for the World Heavyweight Championship. I just have a little bit of an issue with not Braun Breaker getting an opportunity at a championship, of course. It's more of when you have a championship match coming up, like Seth Rollins did a week or two ago, scheduled for Money in the Bank. We all knew that Seth Rollins was going to face Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship at Money in the Bank. And then subsequent to that, you have Finn Balor, or rather Seth Rollins, face Braun Breaker and put his title on the line. Well, with 1,000% certainty that Braun Breaker is not winning that match, or at least winning the championship. You can win the match and not win the belt. Because you are not going to take away the championship match with Finn and Seth. See, you can't book 2 title matches at once. When they occur at 2 different points in time, the one that is the latter always spoils the outcome of the former. Always. That's the problem I have. Now, was Braun Breaker going to win anyway? Of course not. But any doubt, any little seed, even a mustard seed of doubt that you had that Braun Breaker might squeak out something and cause a massive rift in WWE, well, that has been completely squashed by the fact that, oh yeah, Seth and Finn are having a match at Money in the Bank. There is absolutely no chance that Braun Breaker wins here. It just takes the fun, whatever little bit of fun, or excitement or surprise out of that matchup, outside of the fact that if you just like pure wrestling and don't care about championships, it takes that part out. Just my, again, mini bit of a, I don't know if it's a rant or just it's really easily correctable. Just don't schedule 2 title matches at once. All right. For the same person. Anyway. Okay. Raquel and Trish Stratus. This is a surprisingly good match. I enjoyed this. And what was really odd to me is about halfway through the match, and there's a couple things. This match had a lot of weird things. One, the fact that Kevin Patrick, I believe it was Kevin Patrick, noted that this was Trish's first match on Raw in 12 years. And I believe him. It's like, well, why are we not making a bigger deal out of this? I mean, Trish Stratus hasn't competed on Raw since 2011. And he's throwing it as kind of this nonchalant statement in the middle of the match. I don't know. I know, of course, Trish has competed many times since she quote unquote retired a decade ago. We know that. But if they're going to talk just specifically about Monday Night Raw, that's a big deal. Promote it. You could say Trish Stratus next week is going to compete for the first time on Raw in over a decade. Promote it. Get additional eyeballs. They just kind of threw it in out of nowhere. It's like, wait, what did Kevin just say? I know it's not a huge deal and no one went, oh my God, no way. But I bet you most people are sitting there going, wow. They're just telling us in the middle of the match. They didn't use it to market the match. They didn't use it to nothing. It's just a little weird. Also, the other weird thing, can we please make Raquel Rodriguez a heel? And my wishes may come true based on the fact that Becky cost, by accident, of course, cost Raquel this Money in the Bank qualifier because we had Becky Lynch come out, attack Zoe Stark, and then we had Trish put her hands on Becky, but Becky retaliated, and that's when the DQ happened, which allowed Trish to move on and quote-unquote beat Raquel by disqualification. Therefore, Raquel is not in the match, and that put heats on Raquel and Becky. So could there be a start of something there where Raquel does turn heel? I hope so. Because the crowd outside of, seeing her smile, she's got a nice smile. She's a pretty girl, pretty woman, right? No problem there. That's never the problem. And that's actually not why people cheer or boo, but just an observation, I guess. Hope my wife's not listening. So it's not that. She just has, you can't flex your entire entrance. Try to show off your lats and your back muscles and how big you are and imposing, and then also at the same time ragdoll Trish Stratus. And boy, Trish Stratus got roughed up. Not in an unsafe way, but she's bumped and bruised today, let me tell you. And credit to her and credit to Raquel. And she took some nasty clotheslines in the ragdoll moment. That's what heels do. I know that Trish is right now positioned as the heel, but Raquel, how you're looking at the size difference, number one, the physical dominance of Trish during the match, and you're like, and the flexing and all that. And the way she just acts anyways, arrogant. Why is she not a heel? This could have been the step in the right direction with Becky costing her. And maybe Raquel returns the favor at Money in the Bank when Trish faces Becky, and then we have Raquel cost Becky Lynch the match to even things up, and that could happen. So if you're on the train of looking for evidence for a Raquel heel turn, you got some on Monday night. So again, it's too early for me to decide if that's actually what the intention was, or if it's not. We'll see. But boy, she needs to be a heel. I mean, good Lord. All right. So let's see. We got the main event. Cody Rhodes teamed with Cody Rhodes teamed with KO and Sami to take on Imperium. And I mean, how could this not be a really good match? It just is. And they had just amazing chemistry. Just some of the, here, let me read some of the description of the show, or description notes of the match towards the end. Zayn ran the ropes, leapt over a ducking Ripley onto Dom, a flip dive on the floor. Cody hit the Cody cutter on Priest for a really good near fall. Owens and Priest ended up fighting at ringside. Priest rolled up Rhodes for a near fall, and then Priest went for a springboard move that Cody cut off. And Cody went for the pin. Dom broke it up. Owens ran in and tossed, only to be tossed to ringside by Dom. And the finish was Dom set up for a 619 on Cody, but Zayn cut him off, hit a haluva kick on Dom, and then Owens hit a stunner on Dom, and Cody hit crossroads on Priest and pinned him, and they got the victory. And it was a really well done main event, a really fun, quality main event, and a rare loss for the Judgment Day. It really is, especially as a group, really rare loss. The right person was pinned, however. Dom did not get pinned. Priest did. That's okay, because you're not going to have... did I keep saying Imperium? I said Imperium, didn't I? I meant to say the Judgment Day. Sorry, guys. I've been saying that they faced Imperium. They have been facing Imperium, but on SmackDown. I apologize, guys. If I've been saying Imperium throughout the show, I meant to say the Judgment Day. Got a lot of heel groups running around, so somebody out there is screaming, "What's he talking about?" I just realized it. Sorry. But a rare loss for the Judgment Day, and especially as a group. But Cody not pinning Dom made total sense. You're not going to have that payoff yet. But seeing Dom get hit with a stunner is satisfying, because I have fantasized about Stone Cold stunning Dominic, because imagine Dominic on the mic getting booed out of the building. The crowd is all over him, and then you hear the glass shatter. I mean, that would be a perfect, really like a perfect segment on a pay-per-view or a WrestleMania moment. If you ever, guys, here, WWE, if you're listening, that could be a fun moment. Dominic on the mic after a victory, running down the crowd. The crowd is booing him to shreds, not even wanting to hear him. And then the glass crashes and Austin comes out. Tell me that wouldn't be fun. That dynamic of a mega ultra babyface, probably the pinnacle of babyfaces, against the hottest heel in wrestling right now. I mean, that's a match made in heaven from an on-screen perspective. And having Dom like stand up to Austin and maybe run him down and run his mouth, and I don't know, just a thought, just a little thought. But seeing him get hit with a stunner was fun. Judgment Day lost in about 13 minutes here, and again, no harm, no foul here, just a quality main event. And this was I thought it was a good show. Did I think it was great? No, I thought it was a good show, solid show, well designed. Even though we heard reports again of Vince McMahon just tearing things up and reworking the opening segment and all this. Like, I heard it again, and I'm like, I can't verify if these are true or not. If it's true, then Vince McMahon needs to look. There needs to be some kind of vote. If Vince is still doing the day-to-day creative, because that's what he really wants to do, even though he told, it was an MSNBC when he first reappeared as chairman, and he was there to facilitate the sale to Endeavor, that he wasn't getting into the weeds with creative. And it's like, yeah, you are, bro. We've heard this before, and you ended up actually doing it. You know he can't help himself. That's just who and what he is. If this is true that Vince is doing more of the day-to-day creative, I think it's bad for morale. Okay? It's really bad for morale. And it creates chaos, clearly, if these reports are true. I know somebody out there's, don't believe the reports. Yeah, but they're coming out from Fightful. They're coming out from Observer. They're not coming out from your mom and pop wrestling site that's trying to get clicks. It's consistent. Those that have, hands, inner workings, moles in the business backstage, they have those contacts, are telling us what's going on. And if Vince is backstage at Raw, that's just a bad vibe, bro. As the kids would say, good vibes only. Well, Vince does not, from what I understand, not give off good vibes backstage. Nobody wants him backstage. It's just time to move on. That's all. It's the cycle of life, man. That's all. All right. I'm getting very tired and hallucinogenic at this point. I appreciate everybody for listening. If you want to support the show, please do that at patreon.com/WWE podcast, because you can also go ad free for $1. That starts at $1. Pretty damn cheap. I can't go any cheaper than that. Also, I don't know if that says anything about my business that I value it so low. Anyway, well, we can also go, or you can also go to Apple Podcasts and click on the ad-free button there, or WWEpodcast.com. You can go ad-free there, or WWEpodcastshop.com for all your merch. And or if you just want to support us by giving us a 5-star rating, you can do that on Spotify. You can give us a 5-star rating on Apple and anywhere else that supports reviews for podcasts. So tomorrow I'll be back with the mailbag. Send in your emails, send in your voicemails. Mailbag@WWEpodcast.com is the place to send it. So I would really appreciate it, guys. And then we'll close out the week tomorrow. But I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, take care. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.